Thank you. So I'm Anoop Sinha. I'm an expert at McKinsey and the head of McKinsey's technology lab. So I wanted to start with a couple quiz questions. So say you wanted to send something overnight from here to San Jose. How much is it going to cost you? Some piece of mail, like a DVD or something. How much is it going to cost you? Overnight. $12. Do I hear less than $12? $1. Okay. $5. Any others? 30 cents. 30 cents? $30. $30. Oh, okay. Well, it turns out, what is the price for first-class stamp right now? 44 cents. That's exactly how much it's going to cost you. Because it turns out that the Postal Service, by legislation, has actual service delivery times. So in the Bay Area, or even any time you look at a certain cluster area in the, across the country, you're guaranteed, well, guaranteed means not quite guaranteed, but you're pretty much guaranteed that the piece of mail that you put in is going to reach in the next day within that area. Likewise, actually, you could predict 2-day delivery or 3-day delivery based on what the Postal Service does as well. So for the DVD that you send from here, assuming it's 44 cents, might be a little bit more, it's 44 cents. That's all you'd need in order to send it to San Jose overnight. Second question, also related to Netflix. So, they say that, Reed Hastings, he put the CDs in the mail, and then he sent them, and they didn't break coming out on the other side. So anyone have a sense of why that was the case? I mean, you get your mail, sometimes it's torn, sometimes it's ripped, right? As it goes through that process. Why is it that his CDs and DVDs didn't break? Any thoughts? Go ahead. Are you talking about the initial experiment or just generally now? Just generally now. I mean, they send so many DVDs, right? Has anyone ever received a broken DVD through Netflix? Anyone? No one, right? No one's ever received a broken DVD. And you probably have all rented thousands of DVDs in this room, right? So why would that be the case? Go ahead.
The packaging is special, so the Postal Service workers like to be able to compare.
Okay, that's good. And packaging is special. Do you think that envelope's special, meaning padded or anything? Is it? Not really, right? But you said something else about the Postal Service treating it with special care. Anyone have any guesses about that?
DVDs are stacked.
Close. So go ahead, last view.
The envelope is just really recognizable.
It is very recognizable, very true. So what happens? Well, when Netflix DVDs make it to the Postal Service, they actually get specially handled. They actually pull them off of the main lines that are going and stamping all of the main machines, and they put them into bins. And in some cases, they're doing manual sorting on those bins. Netflix also does pre-sorting, right, in their factories, so that actually helps. So it turns out, financially, Netflix DVDs are huge volume for the Postal Service. And so it's a huge amount of, let's say, first class or mail that they actually have. So they actually do handle them specially. It's almost like they're getting FedEx delivery service for DVDs. Netflix pre-sorts them, which helps the Postal Service. The Postal Service makes sure that they actually don't go through the stamping machines. That's why the DVDs don't break. And so if you ever walk into a Postal Service facility on a tour, it has to be a special tour. Obviously, you can't just walk in. You'll actually see crates and crates and crates of these red envelopes, the special envelopes, very recognizable, and they actually don't go through the main stamping machines. So that's why your experience with Netflix has been so good. So just wanted to close out the Netflix case with a little bit of that. So my background is I've currently working at McKinsey in McKinsey's technology lab. And you might be asking yourself right now, what in the world does this have to do with engineering leadership and the engineering leadership program at Berkeley? How many of you have heard of McKinsey? All right, so I think that's nearly everybody. So McKinsey is the largest management consulting firm in the world. And in fact, was the original one, started in 1930s by James McKinsey, and then followed up by a gentleman named Marvin Bower, who is the true first CEO of McKinsey, who really created the discipline of management consulting. Now, what happened in the last 10 years is McKinsey has put a lot of emphasis on business technology, the interplay of businesses having to use technology in order to enable their businesses, as well as just to use it in the normal course of business. And so I'm a member of McKinsey's Business Technology Office. And we have started a collaboration with ICLOC and the Engineering Leadership Program here at Berkeley, which we did an experiment with last year. And this is basically a collaboration which has been of high benefit. Well, we know that our clients are extremely interested and need to use technology in the course of their daily business. And so we've started a research program and had a research collaboration where we tried to come up with new technology methods that could actually be used by these businesses that we actually work with. And this was a work that was part of the McKinsey Technology Lab that I yield. So let me tell you very specifically what we did last year, and it is something that we will repeat in the upcoming year. We recruited a group of 10 students, master students from a variety of different departments, much like yourselves would end up being. And we brought them together and said, well, here are 3 different case projects that you would have to do, that we would like you to do over the course of a semester. And they were all motivated by McKinsey project cases that we were actually working on. Now, here are the 3 problems. First one was, how can you get your customers to buy more of your products? Second one was, how can you get insights about what your customers are thinking? And then the third one was, how could you improve your service on your website and do that in a more automated way than just purely designing the site? Now, the first problem, which is how can you get your customers to buy more, I'll give you the motivating case example and actually ask for a couple of ideas from you on how you might do this. This was a retail company selling sports equipment both in stores and online. So they wanted, in particular, their online business was of high interest to them. So they wanted to figure out how could they drive more sales through that online business. And that was one of the problems we posed to the group. Any thoughts from the audience about what they might do, just broadly, starting points for that type of situation?
More advertising for brand awareness.
Okay, more advertising for brand awareness could certainly be done. And they've done a lot of that, actually, and it's been pretty effective. I can't tell you the name of the client because all McKinsey client work is confidential, but it is a company that is quite well known and does quite a bit of advertising. Something else that they could do on their website? Okay, to drive more demand, differentiated pricing. Okay, so if they wanted to drive a certain product, they do a special on it, something like that. Yep.
Suggest related equipment to equipment that customers are already buying.
All right, now you're onto something interesting, unique, perhaps technology motivated. Anything related to that, or anything else you want to add to that? Suggest related products.
Suggest products that other customers who bought that product also bought.
Okay, perfect. All right, so these last 2 ideas in particular, are very much related to giving recommendations and recommendations engines. So if you saw some of the methods that were discussed in the Netflix case around collaborative filtering and the KNN methods and other things, they're equal technology quantitative methods that could be used for this sports retail situation as well. And so that was the gist of the project that we did last year. We wanted to come up and characterize some of these unique new quantitative technology methods that could be used by a variety of different clients to improve their businesses. And though I gave you the retail case example, the Netflix case example is equally educational, for understanding what could be actually used in that situation. And you could take something like recommendation engine and apply it to all sorts of different cases to positive effect for increasing someone's sales. So it's a great method to learn about. And the group that tackled it a year ago, did an excellent job, profiling it, understanding it, running some experiments, and showing that there's a lot of applicability, not just to Netflix, but to a lot of other case situations. And that's turned into a technical brief, which we're publishing together. So, the idea for, just to capstone that, the idea that for McKinsey is that these technology methods, these engineering methods are extremely important for a lot of our clients. And so we've partnered and worked together with ICLOC and the group here in order to push some of that thinking further. So in the last 5 minutes, two things. I'll just tell you a couple stories, shift gears a little, tell you a couple stories about my time when I was a graduate student at Berkeley. So I did my master's and PhD here in computer science, and had a great time, so I'll just spend a couple of minutes telling you a couple of different things that I did when I was here that might be interesting to you as you're considering what opportunities you might have here at Berkeley. And then hopefully we'll have a couple of minutes to ask questions, and I'll also be around for lunch. ICLOC mentioned very briefly that I had, as a student, had started an entrepreneurship club. This was a club we called Vertex. And it was one of the first sort of engineering entrepreneurship clubs here at Berkeley. And the reason we started it, it was around 99, 2000, was, of course, engineering was the rage at the time. Our startups were the rage at the time. And we said, well, there should be more startups coming out of Berkeley. Now, Berkeley has a very strong innovation culture. And in fact, you'll find, if you do attend here, that innovation is all across the College of Engineering. And we said, okay, well, instead of doing a business plan contest, why don't we go ahead and do an innovation contest? Something that says, well, let's showcase what's actually happening here by way of innovation. And give students a chance to do an innovation contest. It's almost like a science fair, really, but really more an innovation fair. Shankar Shastri, we proposed this to Shankar Shastri, who at the time was the department chair in the EECS department. He was very supportive of it, and he pushed us to go seek funding from sponsors around who were sponsors of the College of Engineering, as well as to work with others on putting this together. Now, we added one innovation. Any of you guys heard of the big game? What is the big game? Stanford versus Cal, in football. And we said, okay, well, we're doing this innovation challenge. Why don't we do it? And we called it the Innovators Challenge. And then eventually we called it the Big Innovators Challenge. So it was actually a contest between Stanford and Berkeley, where we brought graduate students from both departments to come in and propose their innovations. And we brought very distinguished judges from all across Silicon Valley to come and see what these students were actually putting together. Anyone know what the prize is for the big game? All right, the axe. And so the prize for the Innovators Challenge that we did jointly with Berkeley was the coax. It was actually a big cup with a coax cable right in the middle of it. As it turns out, you know that Berkeley trains a lot of faculty. So in fact, Stanford faculty, most of them are from Berkeley. And so the Berkeley and the Stanford crew got a big kick out of this. Faculty got a big kick out of this. And the coax was the prize for 2 years of the contest that actually happened. And then eventually, ICLOC came in and actually has continued this contest here in a very broader and actually bigger form. But the coax it lives as a legend of innovation between Berkeley and Stanford.
Which is now, as we refer, Venture Lab.
Venture Lab, exactly. So now this has actually continued in that regards. That was one of the projects I did outside of research and outside of classroom, and it was certainly quite memorable, and it brought together a lot of relationships, including ones that continue to this day, almost 8 years later. With that, happy to take any questions, either about McKinsey or about things that I did when I was a student, or about your program broadly, and also be around during lunch, to talk to you some more. Yes?
Who won the first
You notice I didn't mention that, right? So it turns out that the way we did it was points based on first, second, and third prize. And so though Berkeley placed in each of the different categories we had, Stanford actually had the most points in total for those 2 years. And the coax actually lives in Professor Jim Plummer's office. He's the dean, in the College of Engineering at Stanford. Any other questions? Great. So I think lunch is next time. Oh, please.
Very, very quickly.
Actually, wait, one second. We didn't appreciate your time.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Thank you.